Hello, if you're tuning in, my name is Steve, and today is an important day in the life of many people, mine especially, the country of Japan, the region of Tohoku, the Sendai, the city of Sendai. And the reason I say all that is today is the 10-year anniversary of the Great East Japan earthquake in Japan, which really impacted my life in a deep way. And I want to share some of that today. First, I would like to set the intention and light a candle, some incense, and say a little prayer, a mini prayer for the people of Japan that were impacted by the earthquake and the tsunami that happened 10 years ago today, March 11th, 2011. So I have a candle here. And in the tradition of Japan, for our ancestors, we light a candle, incense, which I'll light next, and we honor those that came before us, their life, their message, and really they live within us, right? The ancestors are here inside of us. So I've lit some incense, and I want to say a prayer. The prayer will be inside of my heart, and you can say one too. We light the ancestor incense. We ring the bell. And we clap 3 times to signify. I'm going to put this to the side a little bit. To signify the spirit world, the material world, and the physical world. I have to first say thank you for all the people of KASA, the board members, the volunteers, the donors that poured into my effort, the idea to form a nonprofit after the earthquake and the tsunami. And when I think back to that time, it really was the beginning of me as a person. I felt this inner pull, this desire to go to Japan when the earthquake took place. My father, my deceased father, is from Sendai, Japan, and all of my family on my Japanese side are there. And when the earthquake happened, I thought that everyone could potentially have been, taken by the water, perished in that event. And over a few weeks, we found our family members through Facebook, of all things. That's kind of right when, Facebook was kind of a big thing and getting big in the world. And I had this inner pull where I had to do something, and I traveled to Japan later in the year in October. We formed a nonprofit with my sister and her family. Were integral to this forming of this organization and traveling to Japan with me. And we raised money. We did volunteer events in Japan, but we raised money prior to that. And I have to say thank you to Hideko, who gave us the space of Vanessa, the church at Cerritos, Tom Burkus, where we did another fundraising event, for my sister for performing, for Taiko group performing with us. What is it, Basho Taiko? And the artwork that was donated. So thank you for everyone that was a part of raising money and then going to Japan. what I learned in Japan is that there's a shared, connected energy and a spirit that is embodied in kindness and what that means to people. The energy of that. And while in Japan, we were able to do some volunteer activities and clean the land, perform music for people that were living in the temporary housing communities. I had the opportunity to go to Fukushima, where the nuclear reactor exploded. And we were there in October of 2011, and walking on the land by my family's home in Sendai and seeing all the foundations from all the homes that were swept away from the massive tsunami that came in and took out large neighborhoods within the coastline there. It was breathtaking. And how the people came together was probably the most impressive thing, that there was a collective nature, which Japan does really well with thinking about the whole entity of the country. And that was a learning to see that and that interconnectedness of community and how people showed up. And in fact, this buoy was a buoy that I found there on the land, and I've had it with me ever since. And when I do my prayer, it's there next to me. And a big pull for me to go to Japan was the fact that my father died when I was 8 months old. And here's his black belt. I wanted to share this with you. It's one of the only things I have of his. And to go there, and we spent time in the temporary housing communities of Sendai, because all the homes were destroyed or filled with salt water and they were uninhabitable. And we lived in the temporary housing communities. We were there for 5 weeks, and Tim McLaughlin was there, my sister's husband. My sister Madi Sato was there. Tom Burkus was there, and many other people. There were members of an organization in Japan, Shumei, that were there helping us. And really, they were an integral part of us getting around the country and setting up places and activities while we were there doing volunteer work. What KASA gave me was really, as I said at the beginning, the start to who I am, the understanding of the spirit of volunteerism and what that means to community and how we can join together in this spirit of kindness, no matter the group, whether it's big or small, whatever religion you're a part of, whatever creed, race. In the spirit of volunteerism and kindness, I learned the greatest lesson of my life, and that is to come together with others to serve our communities. And also to be connected to my homeland of Japan and to spend time with the culture there. So really, KASA is about that. It's the shared experience of culture. And KASA stands for, if it were to be translated, it translates from KASA to umbrella to English. And it's a collective of people that come together in kindness to support communities, and to share culture is a big part too. There has been quite a bit of divisiveness, and I believe cultures are the most interesting part about life to me, and spending time and learning about others and these wonderful customs, the wonderful food that we share in these countries that are, we feel so far apart by bodies of water and time to travel, but we're interconnected and never more so than now with social media and everything being plugged in. So shared human connectedness, kindness, is what I learned through my time with KASA. Unfortunately, we were unable to travel to Japan this year, so another part of this I want to speak about is traveling to Japan and returning to Sendai. We were unable to travel this year because of the travel restrictions with COVID, and I will be returning to Japan next year for March, this time in March for 2022. And really my goal going to Japan is to plug back into this collective of kindness, to capture some of the stories from people that were impacted by the earthquake and the tsunami 10 years ago today that took place. And I want to share their stories of triumph, their stories of tragedy, of hardship, and give a voice to that. And within that, to share culture and community in this interconnected world that we live in. And to be that conduit of kindness from America to Japan and beyond. It's not just Japan, but our efforts are specifically designed to be in Japan and Sendai, where the earthquake and the tsunami took place. And it's heartbreaking to think of the over 25,000 people that perished in that event, the over 100,000 people that were displaced, and all that happened on this day 10 years ago. It's amazing. Hi, Michael. Welcome. So the goal is to go back, and if anyone wants to join with me in that effort 12 months from now in 2022 to travel to Japan, if you have a special skill that you want to be included and travel to Japan, maybe you do videography and you have the means to do some of that, and we could capture the journey together. I have a couple of people that do that, and if they're curious, I'd love to partner with you to go there and capture the story and some of the personal stories from people that experienced the event of 3/11. And 3/11 in Japan has a significance that's similar to 9/11 here, where it's this national kind of remembrance of the event of the earthquake and the tsunami. And today's that day. So I've lit my candle today. For the whole week, I've really been in prayer about the event of March 11th, the earthquake, the tsunami. And let me share a story with you. I was in Japan, and we traveled to Fukushima, where I was to teach an English class by song and kind of elementary forms of English to students that were around 10 to 12 years old. And I showed up, and as I was starting my lesson plan, there was this earthquake that happened. And all the children and me at the front of the room stood up, and we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if there was going to be another, big earthquake. And I remember how that felt. It was the first earthquake that I've ever experienced, and it was visceral till today. But I remember seeing the fear in the eyes of the children. I remember they had necklaces on that were detecting the radioactive, material from Fukushima that was off in the distance. You could see the towers. And this was in October of 2011. And the earthquake subsided. We went back and began the lesson plan, and the children were telling me, will you come back? They were asking me, will you come back? And I said, yes, I promise that I'll come back and spend time with you again. So I want to travel there specifically to the school and interact with some of the new children there and maybe find some of the children that were there 10 years ago. And they prepared this delicious meal for us that day. And I even had fear that the food could be contaminated, but that didn't stop me from joining in with this delicious meal that the teachers prepared. And that was just one experience when I was in Japan. And there's so many others that I kind of want to document this. And at the time, there wasn't really a great means for me to document via video. But now it's pretty straightforward and simple with our phones. But when I go to Japan, I want to document some of these stories, bring them to you. We do now have a new YouTube channel that's in some of the posts below that I'm starting, and I will put information there and content there and videos, and you're going to hear some information about doing some little mini fundraisers this year before we travel to Japan next year. So be on the lookout for that, and you can visit our website at kasacommunity.org if you're curious about what we did in the years preceding 2011 or after those years. We were pretty active for about 4 or 5 years, and I want to give some new energy and life to this nonprofit organization and travel back to Japan. If you want to join us on the journey, I'd be super honored in any capacity, and just to share kindness and the interconnectedness of different cultures. If that's something that resonates with you and you would enjoy to do that, I would love to do that with you as well. Thank you for spending time with me today. I want to thank, as I did at the beginning, the board members that poured in time, effort, and energy. The first couple of years, we were really active, and all that you'd given to this nonprofit. It is the heart of me now. It taught me about service to community and the world. Thank you very much for watching. And today's a day of remembrance of all those that were impacted by the earthquake and the tsunami 10 years ago today. So we think about you. We pray for you. Thank you for your time today. And look out for more lives from me, Steve, founder of KASA. Thank you.